Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to make some lattice folds, also called diamond fold wreath cards, and these are perfect for decorating with your peg stamps. This video is brought to you by Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com, and I will have a coupon code in the video description for you. So, these took a lot longer than they should have because I had to remember this technique because it'd been a long time since I've done it. It was really popular around 2000, 2003, kind of around there. And there used to be a lot of templates available for these, but there aren't anymore, so I kind of had to create one from scratch. So my first try was not very successful. My first try was this thing that kind of looks like a crazy daisy exhaust fan thing, but I quickly realized that I had too many shapes on here, so I went back to the drawing board, and this is what I came up with. So I took a circle, and I want you to kind of understand, rather than me just sharing the templates, I want you to understand how this is made in case you want to do a different shape. So I would cut a circle the size of your wreath or maybe a little bit bigger. Probably best to go about 1/2 inch bigger on all sides than the size wreath you want. Then you're going to fold it in half, fold it in half again, and then fold it in half again. So you're going to end up with a pie with 8 slices. And each of these little wedges is going to be about a 45-degree angle. So then when you have your template here, what you're going to do is you are going to make a notation on each line that you drew. So after I folded it, I drew a line just to make it stand out a little bit. You're going to draw a little dot anywhere probably between 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch from the center point, whatever you decide. It doesn't matter. The further away from the center you go, the more space you're going to have in the middle, and the overall size of your wreath is going to be a little bit bigger. And then what I did was I just took some punch shapes, and I folded like a circle in half, and then I went around, I lined it up on there, on my my dot that I made, and then I went around and I traced each of these. Now you could do this with a 1/2 of a heart. You could probably do 1/2 of a star. You might have to go a little bit further up on your line to do 1/2 of a star. You just want to make sure it's a symmetrical shape so that when you unfold it, when you cut it out and unfold it, it's going to complete the shape, which you'll see in a second. So you do that all the way around, and then I would go in with another 1/2 circle, and then I would trace it again. I think I used a punch that was a little bit closer in size, but you get the idea. So you do that, so you end up with the part that's going to be free and fold, and the part that's going to be the tuck under. So if you look here, we've got the whole shape makes kind of like a circle shape, and each of these loose pieces, it tucks under the piece next to it. Okay, so once you've got your template all set, I recommend that you trace it with a Sharpie so that you have a template that you can trace, like tape this to the window and hold your paper over it, your cardstock over it, and then you can trace it. So like this one was done with 1/2 of a heart, and of course you could use whatever shape you have, whatever shape you want. Using a paper punch is an excellent thing to make a template out of because you can kind of hold it and go around, and it makes sure that every slice of your pie is the same. So I've already traced one on here, and this is a little 1/2 heart one, and now I need to cut it out. So I have to admit I am not the best at cutting this freehand. Spellbinders used to have some dies to do this, but I don't have any of those. So you know, just do your best. Maybe there's some digital cutting files available for things like this, but what I do is I just try to cut a little bit, move my template, cut a little bit. I'm not really good at it, like I said, but it's gonna look fine when you're done. After you're done cutting, use an eraser just to remove any stray pencil lines. My cutting was not exactly on the line, so I just want to make sure it's going to look nice and neat. And I traced it with just a light pencil, so you know, even if some lines remain, it shouldn't be a big deal. Plus, all of the flaps will be tucked underneath, so you won't see those lines. So then what you do is you just lift up the loose piece that you cut and fold it over, and you can poke it through from the back if you need to. If you had a swivel knife, I think that would work a lot better than just like a regular X-Acto knife like I used. Better yet, if you have a die cut of that would be similar. That would be really awesome. Okay, so now I'm just going to tuck these under the shape next to it, and it completes your shape and gives you that pretty little wreath. So you could try that with all sorts of different shapes, triangles, and I think that's where the term diamond fold comes from, that it's kind of like a triangle shape, like a diamond. All right, so we have our wreath there. Now I'm just going to grab a pad of newsprint here to do my stamping on. And I thought it'd be fun to use these stamp sets because I haven't really used them very much. Petite Poppies and English Lavender. Petite Poppies has lots of small little foliage and little flowers in it. The lavender is pretty too. It's got a fuller spray of foliage. So use whatever you have, but I think those are nice ones to start with. And I think I'll probably be mostly using stuff from Petite Poppies. This one was the English Lavender, and I thought it was pretty, but I really liked the Petite Poppies version a little bit more. So I'm going to start off with some bamboo leaves ink and the larger piece of foliage from the Petite Poppies set, and I'm just going to work my way around the wreath, and I'm just moving the paper and just kind of stamping in the same spot basically. And I just love how easy it is to do these wreaths when you have the peg stamps. So the little line on the side kind of tells you where the stem is going to start, or where the bottom of whatever plant you're doing is, and that just makes it also really easy to line stuff up. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to use is, I'm going to get my darker ink in here, elderberry, and there's this little cluster of berries I'm going to use, and let's see. Now again, that shows you where the stem is, and I think what I might do is just kind of tuck those in at the point of the heart of each of those little hearts there. Now, even though I can't see the registration mark because I have it facing away from me, I'm keeping my hand holding the stamp in the same position, so if I turn my paper, it just helps it kind of land where it needs to go. So the next one I'm going to use is going to be the Lilac Posies and the Poppy stamp from Petite Poppies. This is such a pretty little set. I think it's just so, I know, it's so dainty and lovely. And I'm going to try to kind of situate this in between each of the berry clusters. You don't have to make it, you know, line up perfectly. Just kind of try to balance it around. Then I'm going to do this, and I grabbed this one from Cherry Blossoms. Cherry Blossoms would be a really pretty set to use on this too, actually. And I'm going to go with a little bit lighter of a shade, and I'm going to use this as a filler. I'm using Lulu Lavender. These are Memento inks. They're some of my favorites. And I'm just actually filling in between the poppies and the little berry cluster there. Don't worry about it being perfect. And when I have a little filler like this, I don't need to move the paper. I can just kind of stamp around pretty easily. And then I thought just kind of like a shock of a different color, I would use some teal, and this is Seagrass from Hero Arts. And I'm going to use this little, this is also from Petite Poppies. It's just a little, like, I don't know, it looks like a little fern almost. It's just a tiny little piece of foliage. And this one, I am just going to go here and there with it, and I think I will turn the paper as I go. I'm just going to tuck this in wherever I can get it to fit. It's just a nice little shock of color. That it's a soft color, but it's something, you know, a little different, and I think looks really pretty. And if you see any overstamping areas, like maybe you got the edge of your stamp where you didn't want it, you can hit right on top of those with this little spray of foliage. It's a great little disguise as well. So anything that didn't stamp just the way you want it, you can go ahead and fix that. And there, that's really pretty. So I also wanted to use some other stamps. I have got this Butterflies and Ivy set, and I have Thinking of You here. I have a sentiment set, so I want to get those into the mix as well, because you can't do everything with just the peg stamps. You need to have some larger images too, especially sentiments, or you can handwrite. This is a pretty just script, so if you've good handwriting, you can go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to put that at the bottom to kind of balance it out. And then for some larger images, I picked some butterflies. I thought they were really pretty. I also, sometimes when, like I noticed with rubber stamp tapestry, if they're filling up a set, you know, they're not going to waste the rubber in between the designs, so they'll put in a few little filler stamps, and that's great. I love it when stamp companies do that, because it shows that they care about us and our budget, and, you know, giving us a little bit more with their supplies. So I'm going to ink that up with a light purple and just kind of hit it with the other darker purple there, and just stamp that right in the middle. And then I'm going to fill again with my little stamp here. I apologize, the furnace just started because it's still very cold here in Maine, so I'm just going to get those little stamps done, and we'll be back when the furnace shuts off. Okay, to decorate my sentiment area, I'm again going to repeat those same elements that we did before. Repetition is a really important element of design because it makes your work look a little bit more polished and sophisticated. So I'm taking that foliage stamp that I used right off the bat, and I am having it kind of sprout out from my sentiment. So again, using the registration mark to kind of guide me, show me where things are going to end up. And then I am going to use my poppy, which is that nice big flower. And if I notice that because this is my biggest, most opaque flower, if I notice that I had some issue where like there my ink, I got the edge of my stamp, I'll just stamp on that. That just keeps me from having that error kind of show up. I did it again there, so that tells me that I also need to trim this stamp a little closer. I rarely leave my stamps the way they come. I usually go in and trim off the excess. I can show you like right there. I trim off the excess so that I don't get those round halos around my work. Now we'll grab this little tiny little dainty foliage, and we will add that in here as well anywhere we want to. It's just such a pretty little spark of color. And of course you can put on as much or as little as you want to. It's completely up to you, whatever you think your card happens to need. And I really liked the little cherry blossom here, so I want to put that in there a couple of places because I think it kind of just helps bridge the gap between the bigger flowers and the smaller flowers. And it's almost like a baby's breath effect where it's just it's so light that, you know, if you do it with a light ink, you can keep putting it and building it, and it just almost gives you the impression of pattern paper, and it helps you correct those little areas if you overstamped. Now I'm actually thinking I'm going to leave this the way it is. I had done butterflies in the corner of this one. You see that? And then on this one I did butterflies kind of scattered around, but you can see this compared to that. I really think filling that in with the same foliage stamps that you used on your wreath really make it look nice. Now if you want to give it kind of a fuller look in the background, you can ink on some of the ink from your ink pad. My favorite tool for this is a blending brush. This is a color duster brand from Judykins. Rubber Stamp Tapestry has these in stock, and they're just really good for doing just a light blush of color. And I have not had great luck with sponges when I try to ink the edges. I always just get a blob where I don't want it. I'm a little too heavy-handed with it, I think, but for whatever reason, using the brush just gives you such a lovely little rouge of color. I just find it so much easier to control. And you know, when you've done a lot of work, I'm even going to try to get my little wreath here. When you've done the work on it, you want it to show, and you don't want to mess it up at the last stage of the design. That's a bummer. To finish my card, I'm going to use some thin foam tape to rise it up a little bit from my cardstock, and you can see we have a nice good border there that we can do our tape from. And my trick with foam tape is to tear it right from the roll, because it gets your scissors so sticky that it's kind of a pain to work with that way. So I just tear it right straight from the roll, and that works really well for me. Sometimes you have to build, you might have to use a couple pieces to get along one length if you tear it too short, but I don't think that's a really big problem. Make sure your work surface is clean if you've laid your thing down face first, so you don't end up getting ink where you don't want it. If you tear it too long, just tear it short and use that excess somewhere else. I am not a very precise crafter. This, and because of that, this was a challenging project for me. But all you got to do is make a pie with 8 slices. So just remember, pie with 8 slices, and your shape, just do a double line shape on one side of each slice, and you're going to be good. Okay? And that's all you really need to remember. You can do whatever shape you want, so that way you can build the template whatever size you want to fit whatever you want. You could do it huge on a scrapbook page. You could do a 5x7 card. You could do a tinier card. It's completely up to you. Remember though, the smaller that you do it, and the more intricate shape that you do it, the more difficult it's going to be to cut. So you'll have to assess your own cutting skills to see if that's something that that you can handle. This is about as detailed as I'm going to get hand cutting, because I'm not very coordinated, and I would cut myself. Alright, I've got all the backing off of my adhesive, and I'm just going to center it up on this cardstock. This is a half sheet of cardstock that I've just scored and folded in half. And there you have it. So it was a pretty fun and easy card. Once you get past the template design, it's actually pretty fun and easy. And I'm sure you're going to be able to create this a lot quicker than I did. I want to thank you so much for watching today. I'll show you these other versions here so that you can kind of get some ideas about what you want to create. Use the products that you have, and I'm sure you'll create something really awesome. I'll have a list in the video description of all of the stamps that I used from our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com, and I'll have a coupon code in the video description for you, so make sure you check that out before you go shop. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and share it with your crafty friends. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.